Welcome to the Multidose Podcast, your guide to authenticity, hosted by Multazim Zia. Brought to you by the Multipath. This podcast is more than just insights, it's your dose of authenticity. Join us as experts, celebrities, influencers, and real people share their authentic knowledge like never before. From every episode, you can expect to learn something new and maybe explore a new perspective on your own life. To support our podcast, consider donating to our Patreon and share the love on social media. Every like, follow, comment, share, and penny counts. Find us on all streaming platforms and connect with us on our social media at The Multipath and at Multazim Zia. Your authenticity is just one dose away.
Hi Leo. So we had a bit of a discussion prior to jumping onto the podcast. I'm excited for you to share what you've actually got going on all through your life. For you, you've got a lot going on and a lot that you've transitioned into. So I'm excited to discuss all that. So thank you for coming on. Introduce yourself. Tell people who you are, what you do, what you're about.
Yeah, so I've been playing golf my whole life. I started playing golf when I was 3 years old, and started competing when I was 7. So,
Mhm.
really been consumed by the sport my entire life. It's a piece of me. A lot of people would say that, golf came to me, I didn't go to it.
Yep.
I've been competing my entire life. I won a couple of national championships, and
Hmm.
championships with my high school team and individually, and got up to like top 20 in the country for the rankings. So I had a pretty good like junior career, and I got a full ride to play Division 1 golf at University of Central Florida. And during that time, it was during the COVID year, so that it was kind of a weird time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it being such a transition phase for me, there was a lot of change, but a lot of reflection, given the fact that I was in my dorm by myself for about 4 or 5 months. So it got me into a different mindset, a lot of personal growth
Hmm.
and stuff. So that shifted my perspective, and I just had to leave college, somehow convincing my Hispanic household to do so. And probably the hardest part, the hardest hurdle, but
Yep.
we got that one. And now playing professional golf. And as I was, getting into this venture, I decided to get into the content world as well, so that I can attract some sponsors to be able to play.
Hmm.
Uh, and I just developed the Connected Golfer, which we'll get more into. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the background, what I got
You know
going
what?
on.
It's so amazing to have people like yourself onto the podcast that have such a diverse skill set, and not in just from an athletic point of view. You clearly have a creative mindset as well, which is again going to be as critical. And I'm assuming they connect with each other as well. So let's talk about a bit about. Let's start off at the beginning. You mentioned you started off quite young. So even prior to coming onto the podcast, we discussed that you started off quite young. So you said to me that you were basically like brought up on a golf course where you started playing around 3 years old, and then maybe started to compete around 7 years old, if I'm correct. How did you get into that world? Because there'll be a lot of people, parents, or even young people that want to the kids into sports, for example, but don't know what the right ages are, how to get them into that, like what to find the right, I guess, sport for them. So talk a bit about around that.
Yeah, so my dad was a golfer, and he got into golf when he moved over here to the States in 2000.
Mhm.
So he wasn't like that much into golf like before, but he was super into it when he started. It's kind of like a virus.
Yeah.
And he got me into it, knowing like the value of the sport. I'm so happy I did, even though I got picked on in school for playing golf. I didn't think it was a sport or whatever, but
Yeah.
I loved it so much. I didn't care, and I just was naturally very good at it because I
Hmm.
started at such a young age. And I did golf and karate growing up, so a lot of like mindset was instilled, discipline from the
Mm.
get, which has helped me throughout my entire life for anything that I do.
Okay. And obviously we've discussed something there where you said your dad got you into it. Do you feel like it's one of those situations where, you know how sometimes your dad might be a lawyer and he'll want you to be a lawyer? Was it one of those classic situations? Did you resent it at first? Did you kind of just go with the flow? Obviously, you're quite young anyway, but as you grew older, did you start realizing straight away that, as in, actually, I love this? or did you have your ups and downs with it?
I wish I remembered that phase of my life a lot more, but all I remember was just loving golf and like
Mm.
not wanting to live a day without playing golf. So I
Well,
was never forced. My dad never really forced it onto me.
mm.
He kind of just let me do it, and he saw that I loved it, and I didn't want to do anything but play golf. So that's all I
So
remembered.
at least you got positive memories. I know so many different people that have gone into careers because of their parents, and you know what? It might be stereotypical of me to say, but ethnic minorities like myself are the type of targets to get forced into careers. Well, look, it is what it is. At the end of the day, at least you've got into a career and you liked your career. So, as you've gotten older, you mentioned obviously going to school, people didn't really consider it or even acknowledge it as a sport. As you're getting older, what got you into competing and taking it more seriously, other than the fact that you've had experience from a young age? What made you think, throughout your years, what made you feel like this is my motivation, this is my key, this is something that will spur me on for the rest of my life, for example?
From what I remember, I just like always loved winning, and I was good at golf. So I was like, this is what I got to stick to if I want to keep winning. So like that's kind of like what went on. And even with karate, like I felt like I was pretty good. I was a black belt when I was 13, 14 or something. I also started at a young age, but
Yeah.
like it just felt good to like win in
Mhm.
something. And you know and that also came with a lot of like downfalls as well. Like I was always expected to be the best. I was kind of like always, I had to prove something every time that I
Yeah.
went out there, even though I was, what I felt like was the best. uh and it came with a lot of pressure. Like obviously, like my dad probably instilled some pressure as I was growing
Yeah.
up, like wanted the best for me, and I'm super
Hmm.
grateful that he did, because it built me into the person that I am today. But
100%.
when you're going through those moments, sometimes you don't really like see it that way.
Yeah, you don't appreciate it. And it's good because I think personally pressure. I've always been a big fan of pressure. I've always loved to have this pressure on me to be better, be the best I could be the best person I can be. One thing my dad always used to say to me personally was, "Multim, you need to be the best you can be." He was like, "I don't care about anyone else." He went, "I don't care if people are the best versions of themselves. He went, I don't care who's top of the class. You just need to be the best version of who you can be." And that pressure was nice to have because I think it keeps you motivated. Obviously, in your case, it's worked perfectly as well because you're pursuing what you're pursuing. And something that I was wondering as you were speaking there as well, actually, was you mentioned that it was always this competition and you've always been quite good at, it sounds like you've been quite good at the athletic side of things. So, for example, karate, golf. Now, obviously, as you're going older, I'm not talking about when you're 3 to 7, whatever, but now that you're older, even when you were, let's say, teens, late teens, um, did you feel like ever your academic life was being compromised or your athletic life would be compromised through the balance between them both?
Yeah, I mean, I was always a pretty good student as well. I wasn't a great student, but
Hmm.
I was a good student. I mean,
Yeah.
had a good GPA, I got a good SAT score. Actually, like part of like the reason I got a full ride to school was because of my grades. And they didn't take much of the scholarship money from the golf, because
Yeah.
they saved for other athletes. But it was sacrificed. I really liked studying in the beginning, and then I really hated studying as I got older. And then I really, really hated studying, like in school. I just felt like I wasn't studying for a purpose.
Yeah.
Now I really love studying. Like I love like reading and listening to podcasts or other stuff. Just
Yeah.
it's information and super important to grow.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's quite good as well, like in the terms of sometimes what I've seen is people end up compromising or sacrificing one thing for the other. And I've had a few friends that have wanted to compete competitively, and they start to dip in their academic careers and academic life, or vice versa. That they started to focus so much on academia, they forgot how to focus on their athletic life, and it's so hard because I'm assuming I'm not an athlete at all, so I'm not going to pretend I know what you guys go through. But the training is vigorous and tough and is consistent. So how would you, even now, how would you manage your time, throughout the day? Because look, people are busy with their jobs, work, life, academic studies, or even just families. How do you manage your time throughout the day, trying to make sure you're having time to either just absorb some information as well, get through your training, try to get your content out there, and have your personal life, social life, and then just be I think present as well with everything. How do you manage all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of structure to how I live my days for sure.
Hmm.
I created a whole online course on this just because I went through this phase in college, like I was telling you, where I
Hmm.
came in, I felt like I reached a point in my life where I was a little bit complacent
Yep.
with where I was, and I had what I felt like I wanted, and then reality hit me when I was in college, and I was like, this is a completely different environment, what I'm not used to. So I went through a huge transformation, and I structured my life, very disciplined to,
Hmm.
what I think are the three most important pillars of life, which is your health, your career, and your relationships.
Yep.
Just like focusing my days on those three pillars and gradually improving and really caring
Hmm.
about improving those things, really like shifted me. And just like very like time blocking my stuff is super important, or else I'll get stuck in a project for way too long, and the whole
Yeah,
day,
yeah.
you know you have
Yeah,
to be
that's
very.
happened. Yeah, I was gonna say that's happened to me so many times where I've not timed things correctly, or I've got a gap in my diary. I think, okay, do you know what, I'll pick up this task, and I completely get sidetracked with that task, and all my whole diary is just completely ruined because I've been so absorbed or so distracted by that task. So I think that's something I picked up quite early on as well. Trying to get everything blocked into diaries, make sure they're cut in and they're structured in a certain way, and at certain times I'm doing things that are relevant. I think it's very, very vital. Do you use diaries? Do you use like, is it mental planning that you do? How do you work it out?
Yeah, so I do have a calendar. Like I actually write it. I don't really like putting it on. I feel like
Old
writing
school.
gives me makes me remember it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But as far as my like actual like discipline, like my structure for my day, like it's kind of like hardwired into me now. I've been doing it for about 3 years. So like very like one of the things that I feel like is the strongest suits of my personality is my discipline, given the fact that I grew up, playing golf and doing karate, and
Yeah,
have
yeah.
needing that discipline to improve. So like that's been something that's been ingrained in me. What I really like put on my calendar is more like, meetings, or,
Mm.
rounds, or anything that I need to like actually remember that's different.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Now, you mentioned as well previously that as well as all this, and it's something we'll definitely come back onto as well. And I want you to expand a bit further and elaborate a bit further because it's quite important. You mentioned obviously during COVID, you're in a dorm room by yourself. This is where you started to do a lot of more reflective work. It shifted your mindset slightly from just being an athlete to other parts of yourself. What things were you thinking? What made you start reflecting so much, other than obviously being alone? What made you start reflecting so much? What made you start thinking? And what do you actually start thinking? What made you shift your mentality and mindset to think, actually, do you know what? I want more from life. I want to be something different a little bit.
Yeah, so I got into college, and I was playing with players that were at a way higher level.
Hmm.
So I really wanted to search for something that gave me an edge in my mindset, because I knew like, yeah, with my game, I'm gonna be improving. I have like my routine, but I really wanted to structure like my life outside of golf to like really enhance my golf. But it was
Yep.
focused to get better at golf. As I got through the journey, I realized it was more than that. And like I've really embraced the fact of like living like a healthy life, fulfilling life. But the search was for truth. Like the search was for like, what is life? Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
Am I like all these,
Mm.
questions when you're by yourself, you ask.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and what I realized and I came down to was like I was really just searching for wholeness.
Mm.
I wasn't searching for another win, or I wasn't searching to be the best player on the team. I was just searching to feel whole within myself, and I felt
Mm.
a lot more empowered, in myself, because I was like, this is what this is about, like this. It feels a lot more, you know, attainable, like to do
Yeah.
that. I have to like, achieve something that I really want to achieve because I'm ambitious, but in
Yeah.
reality, I just got to feel whole. Uh,
Yeah.
Kind of like where
I think
that search began.
my whole life it's been I need a win, I need a win, I need a win. So for me, my personal wins were, getting these certain jobs, no, well, getting my degree, getting these certain jobs, getting the best grades I could, promotions, starting my businesses, landing contracts. So it was always, another, I guess, temporary release of serotonin, like the endorphins that release because you're winning so much. I think for me it was that I've probably just recently got into a similar phase where I'm just like, I need something that makes me feel complete, makes me feel whole. I want to not start focusing on all this materialistic and worldly aspirations, and maybe just spend some time focusing on myself. So what things did you do, or what things have you been doing or implementing that you think actually, what, it's getting me that one step closer to my ultimate goal and my ultimate profound openness of feeling whole, feeling complete, finding your purpose?
Yeah, I would say three things: gratitude, giving, and flow. Would be the three things. Like at first, once I was like really like searching for this wholeness, I wanted to experience what it was like.
Mm.
And through this personal growth, I came across, hey, gratitude is the key. You got to be grateful. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not grateful.
yeah.
Like, what is this? So I just really
Yes.
like, I was like, whatever, like, let me just kind of fake it till I make it, I guess. And I really wanted to see what it was like. And gratitude really like changed my perspective a
Mm.
lot. That was my motto when I was going in school. Like, it's like, just got to be grateful for whatever happens, and really feeling the gratitude, how it changes like your nervous system essentially. And then just gratitude kind of led into me just wanting to be like a giver, like wanting to like give, not necessarily like materialistic things, but like just give in general, like give positive energy.
Yes, yes.
And what really clicked it for me was like flow, kind of like understanding how like energy like flows in general, like how it flows through your body, and it makes you feel like way more in tune with yourself
Yeah,
and what's going on around you, because there's a lot of things that could be pulling you one direction or another. So being like energetically like aware of the
yeah.
flow really tapped me into this experience of like connection, what I would say.
Mm. Yeah. And what, I love the fact that you said those three things, because those are the three things that keep getting plummeted when I when I do research. So my background, as I mentioned, I am a physiotherapist. I usually coach clients as well with mental health, mindset, focus, businesses and things. And something that I've been looking into, I'm like, okay, so do you know what? I by training, I have to have evidence for everything. It was installed in me at university. You have to have evidence-based practices. Everywhere I've been researching, every video I've been watching, every podcast, every book, all the self-care things that you have. As I've gone through it, everything says those three things. So gratitude, giving, and flow. And once I looked into research, then you think, like I said, you think it's one of those cliche things people come out with. Oh, you have to be grateful. You just have to give back. You'll feel better. And you just think, what's the purpose of this? Where do I get this back? But from a research point of view, evidence point of view, it's actually shown that those three things really make a significant difference to the way you feel, but how you help other people feel. And the most simple way I can explain it um, is it, for example, as you're walking, for example, and you're happy about the fact that you're still breathing, you have a healthy life. The more that you think of these positive things, the more your body starts, or well, your brain starts accepting that you actually have some positivity. Because I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I know when I was super ambitious about trying to land these contracts, be the best at everything I could, all I could see are losses. So even when I won, it was still a loss. I could have done better. I could have got a bigger contract. I could have got a better negotiation. It was always a loss, and I always saw negatives. But once I started practicing gratitude as well, I started to see things in much positive light. If I could get more money in negotiation, I thought, you know what, I'm happy for the fact that I landed the contract. And then that made me happy. I'd go out and smile a bit more. And then what that did was help other people that around me started to smile. And I thought, oh, that's so from gratitude, I've gone to this giving where I've just been smiling, laughing, having laughs, waving at someone, helping someone cross the road, simple things that you do, opening a door for somebody, and I just gave back to somebody. And then from there, they've gone and done something even nicer. So I remember once I held the door open for an old lady, and it was just something natural. And she literally just walked past and she was like, do you know what? I'm glad there's gentlemen in the world still. And all it was me being happy, me giving back to her, she gave me a compliment back, which helped me again. And that just was the idea of your flow, where it just goes around. So I love the fact that you brought that up. I don't know why I shared that long story, but I thought it's relevant in your case.
Happened.
So coming back to something you mentioned just at the end of your mini monologue there, you mentioned connectivity. Now, I know this is an underpinning philosophy for you, where you go based on connectivity. What do you and connection? What do you mean by connectivity, connection? Why is that so important to you? What do you gain out of it? What do you hope to give from that?
Yeah. So when, back to like this journey, like of, searching for wholeness and experiencing like this coherence of like,
Mm,
awareness. When I really started to find the connection was when I started to examine like who I was and really like develop like a leader within myself and find like my authenticity, like what I'm
mhm,
passionate about, like who I am. And that really like sparked something in me. I was like, damn, like I'm really like my own guru in this. Like I just really got to tap into
yeah,
myself, truth. So when I say like stay connected, it's really more about, people know what it means, like you don't really have to explain it. The
yeah,
more you explain it, it's almost worse, but uh they know what it means because they know that if they're just connected to like who they are and their truth,
yeah,
life kind of flows for them. And really
mm,
where it comes down to like taking responsibility for your life or not. And that's where like it really starts to ignite, when you
mm,
have the self-esteem and you build yourself up and you develop grit, you put yourself in uncomfortable
mhm,
situations. You realize, okay, like I'm building a fire within me, but I gotta be responsible for this, I
yeah,
gotta like wake up every day because I did it yesterday, because
yeah.
I'm one better every day. And that's the responsibility you take of, and that's why staying connected to your purpose, to your passions, to who you truly are is so important.
Mhm.
And that's why I repeat it all the time.
Okay, so do you know something I liked about all of this, right? Throughout of our conversation for, let's say, the last however long it's been so far, it's not telling me the time, but you mentioned obviously keyword, purpose, connectivity, your truth to yourself, finding yourself, reflections. What would you say to somebody? Let's say I walked up to you one day, or we were speaking on the podcast, and I said to you, "Look, I've been struggling to find my purpose. I don't know how to connect to myself. I don't know what I should be asking myself, what I should be doing to find my purpose, or find that connectivity with myself, so that I also can then relay that and project that on other people." What would your advice be? What would you say? What would you think? What would your approach be to it?
Yeah, so I would say first to understand like what I think are the three pillars of life,
Mm-hmm.
health, career, relationships, and cultivate like a vision of what you would like to see yourself as in those three areas.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to purpose, for me, it's really about understanding what your passions are, but first starts with what you're curious about. So I'll tell you, like, give me 10 things you're curious about. And then out of those 10 things, like highlight the top three things that you would say like you're really passionate about. And then from those three things, figure out a way to combine them to like
Mm-hmm.
contribute to society. So it's like for me, it was like golf, longevity, and high performance. Those are
Mm-hmm.
like my three like passions in life, and how I live my days. That's what I'm focused on. So I would say like how I contribute to society would be a way of expressing those three in one. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I built the Connected Golfer. And that's a way for me to express it. And it's just, kind of the beginning phase of what it's like. But that's kind of like what I would say to someone that's looking to find their purpose. Just find your curiosities and then go from there.
Yeah, amazing, amazing advice. That's exactly what I would say to someone. Find what you're passionate about, find what you're curious about. At least if you can't find what you're passionate about, and then let's prioritize them. Let's get them. Let's expand on them. Let's see how they actually can be useful to you, but then useful to society as well. How we can adapt it. Baby steps. What I say. I always say to people, just take baby steps. You can't figure it out. Don't stress yourself. You don't need to go from 0 to 100 in 10 minutes of conversations. Literally, find your basics. Let's build on it after that. So
And
amazing
purpose is
stuff.
not about you, it's about others. It's
Yeah,
about how you show up for others, how you're gonna
yeah,
impact the world. So that's the most
yeah.
important.
I think something you mentioned there as well is, which again I'm 100% on the same page as you on this, is how you can impact society, how you can help other people, how you can support other people, and what difference can you make. All of which I think that should be everyone's fundamentals. Now, of course, you get people that they don't really care, quite selfish. They would just want to focus on themselves. But something that I want to go back to anyway. You mentioned obviously early on you've been involved in golf for your whole life, basically, and you obviously want to continue pursuing golf. Now, I mentioned right at the beginning, I imagine that the fact that your golf has helped so much with your creativity because your next part of your obviously life currently has been the content creating portion. How have you found that golf has somewhat helped creativity? And I know obviously golf is a very strategic game, so I'm assuming it's had some sort of strategy plan because you've grown your following massively. So from what I remember, it's 64,000 roughly people that follow you. Your engagement is insanely high on your reels, which is amazing as well, especially with the engagements being what they are now. How has golf fitted into that, first of all? Secondly, how did you manage to build your following, build your engagement, build your community and that connectivity on a virtual platform?
Yeah, so for me, golf has been my vehicle and connection has been my engine. I'm just driving,
Love
you know,
it. Love
like
that. Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of like I have to use golf because that's my happy place and that's where I'm me,
Mm-hmm.
to the fullest. And I can, showcase my shots and, really express like my talent. Uh,
Yep.
and connection is really what like sparks people. Like that's what I feel like, at least around my club and everything. People are like, "Hey, stay connected," like all that stuff. So it's about that. It really happy. I think what has helped my progress has been the fact that I made the focus not about me and more
Yeah.
about the message. And that's what goes back to purpose. It's not about you. It's
Mm,
it's about how you want to impact others because
yeah.
you really just want to help people feel acknowledged and respected, and that for me, like, stay connected, bro. Like I can go
Yeah,
to
yeah.
anyone that follows me, like, stay connected, and they're like, yo, like, I feel you, like
Yeah.
that, that's what I really feel like people are gravitating towards, and that's what I feel like has helped me throughout this year that I've done it.
Yeah, it looks like from your social media as well, because I was looking through a few of your reels, like I mentioned, it looks like you actually have that warm presence as well. Do you know, when I've watched some of your reels, I've been going through your content, you have this warm approach to your content where you're having fun with it, you're having laughs with it, you have the passion in there, you can feel it. And something I was recently watching on someone else's, like, do you know, these um, content creators that advise you on how to make content. Someone said that you should people can feel your audience can feel whether you're being authentic or whether you're being true or real. And something I've got with one of my companies, my slogan is literally authenticity and credibility. With that authenticity and credibility of your platforms, how do you feel like that's helped your career as a golfer now?
Yeah, I think it's helped me, show up as a person every day, for a greater purpose. That's the biggest thing. You know,
Hmm.
there were, and this is an ancient like Chinese, I think, saying.
Mm,
There's the mask you have with yourself, the mask you have
yeah,
with your family, and the mask you have with, the world. And it's really kind of helped me understand those three, and having that third mask, that third layer
hmm,
of like, this is like who I'm like remembered as or who I'm seen as. And it's
mm.
still authentic, it's still me. It's not, me when I'm just with me, but it's I feel like is, vibrantly alive and a passion in me. And the
Yeah.
key passion. And it comes through that time, during COVID when I was in my dorm and I was really just finding myself. I remember the first few videos that I did, man, I was so dull. I could barely even talk to the camera. Now it's like a completely new human being is like going through me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's honestly like I'm so excited to do videos now. It was a burden that I needed to do to like
yeah.
find and all this stuff. Like, and I stopped making the focus about the sponsors or about the recognition.
Mm,
I'm just gonna go fully into like embracing this character and just, helping people really understand the message. And the
yeah, yeah.
more credibility you actually end up getting because people see you for it.
Yeah, 100%. And something I wanted to run by you as well. So let's say, it was all different. So let's say you started this content creating career. Let's say it went on for a couple of years, but you were getting, let's say, a couple hundred views or, handful of views. Do you think you'd still have the same passion, motivation, and inspiration that you have now? Or do you think you would have fizzled out, thought, forget it, I'm not doing this content creating thing, let me keep focusing on golf?
It's definitely a fine line because I never wanted to be a content creator. I remember actually the year that I started doing content in my New
Mm,
Year's resolution, I put I don't want to touch my phone when I'm on the course. I just wanted to focus on my game. Um, and it's just weird how life throws you in different
yeah,
directions.
yeah,
But it for me, it was really about like okay, I'm doing this. Uh, It's not in my nature to like half-ass something, like I gotta do it. If I'm gonna do it, do it.
yeah.
And I really like studied the algorithm,
Hmm.
and I studied like, okay, this is what like actually gets me out there. Because you gotta like play the game, and then like once you build, then you can like start being a little bit more
Yeah, more
authentic.
relaxed. Yeah, yeah.
And I'm transitioning into that phase now where I can really like start to express like the true message. But at first it was
Hmm.
like people need like they just need to be given information and have some type of you know uh they need to be given value. So for
Hmm.
me, I gotta give them a golf tip, golf tip, golf tip, golf tip. And now it's like I'm the golf tip guy, but I can really transform this golf tip. And like golf is exactly like life. So the tip is about how to transform, your life through golf. And now it's like the transition is happening. Super excited for it. That's what kind of inspired me to create this online course on that and everything, just because it's what the message for me is really all about.
Amazing. And you mentioned this online course, so talk us through a bit more. You've got 5, 10 minutes. Let's go through a bit more about this online course. Talk us through it, where we can find it, what it's even about, who your target people will be about this, and overall, what did you want from it? So the whole podcast right now is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, so this online course is about high performance. It's really about understanding how to like structure your life and yourself in a way that
Hmm.
you're winning in the sense of you're feeling whole. And it's not about you're going to end up attracting the most beautiful things to your life once you
Hmm.
establish yourself. Inner empires realize outer empires.
Yep.
I've actually been going through some of the modules of the course through this conversation. Like it starts with the search for connection, the search for
Yep.
home, and the experience of coherence through gratitude, generosity, and flow, and
Hmm.
then finding the connection by finding your authenticity, and then really like igniting that and like understanding grit, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and taking responsibility for that, and then like expanding that connection once you develop that, like learning how to like polish your interactions with other people, like understand who you're surrounding yourself with, because you're made up of the top 5 people you're around, and really understanding how to expand your network, but by building a strong
Yeah.
inner, uh,
Yeah.
finishing it off by like really like maximizing your intentions. But like I end up giving a meditation, mobility routine, and just a really good morning routine that people can do, and a PDF for people to follow that like this is your formula. I call it the connection
Mm.
formula. The course is called.
Yeah.
And my connection formula consists of like my passions. I have them all listed down. It's individualized for everybody. But it'd
Mm.
be purpose, your vision of like where you see yourself in each of the core areas of life. And then like that really just helps people have structure and really, end up embodying this like framework, this formula, and just becoming a completely
Different person.
human being, as I like to
Yeah.
say. Um,
Amazing. All that is absolutely astonishing. But where do we find you? Where do we find this?
So it's on the link of my Instagram account, the Connected
Yeah.
Golfer. In my bio, you'll check it out, and it actually should be released within the next couple of days. I filmed it a couple of months ago, and the editing process is just getting done. So you'll find
Amazing.
it, Golfer, and if not, just go to the connectedgolfer.com and you'll find it.
That's perfect. Then what we'll do, I'll add it into the links in on the website, in all the platforms, stream platforms. I'll add the links there as well. Is that okay? Perfect.
The stage is set, the spotlight is on. This is Doses of Authenticity, where the real stories unfold, every answer reveals a new layer, and the truest self shines. Let the questioning begin.
What is your number one life philosophy?
My number one life philosophy is that achievement of mine is the end of craving.
How do you want to be remembered?
I want to build an opportunity for athletes to, really realize, optimize, and monetize their potential, because I feel like the education systems kind of gravitate one way for more education instead of for athletes. So the focus for athletes.
One change you would make to society?
For the athletes, because I just feel like the education system, it's great, but could have a couple of improvements, especially for the athletic side of things, and helping athletes just build themselves by just going through like their sport without having to do other things.
The best advice you've ever been given?
Um, Best advice I've ever been given is to be grateful for who you are and never satisfied for what you have.
What makes you authentic and unique?
Me. I think so many people try to be like other people, but in reality, like we're all like completely different. So if you're connected to yourself, you'll be authentic and you'll be you.
And do you know what? That's the first time someone has given me that answer. Nobody has ever said, "I'm just me. I'm unique from being myself." Everybody has given me some sort of philosophical answer. You're the first person. I've been waiting for that answer. I've been waiting for someone to say, "Just me. I'm unique. Like I'm who like, I'm multi-same. Like you're the different. I'm unique. That's enough." Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Great.
perfect. Do you know what? We're gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing. Do you know what? Some of your insights I'm gonna plug away and probably use myself, steal it. It's all mine for that element. Personal growth, trying to find my true authentic self. Finding that purpose, finding what you want to do with life, finding your passion, like you said, and mainly from the whole underlying principles of this is the connectivity, which is something I'm hoping everyone will start exploring. So, like I said, all your links will be in all the streaming platforms. It will be on my website once this is published. But other than that, any final words to the audience?
Stay connected.